Imagine having the responsibility of transporting over 200 million passengers and crew per year safely to their destinations. Gil West was born in Hiawassee, a small North Georgia mountain town, on January 6, 1961. He and his younger brother Dave grew up hunting, fishing, and playing sports. Gil's dad Ron owned an auto parts store where Gil worked from about age 5 through college.
Really got hooked on cars, got to see a small business, how you make money in a business, what's important, but also deal with the public and the customers.
Gil's mother, Mary Catherine West, was assistant to the principal in Gil's elementary school. His grandmother was assistant to the principal in Gil's high school, so Gil was always under a watchful eye. Gil attended Hayesville High School in nearby North Carolina, where he played basketball. Gil West was good with his hands, good at math, and especially good at poker.
And did pretty well at it. The psychology of it was fun. Won quite a bit of money. In fact, I won a Triumph TR6 in one pot. My mother said, you know, I don't know about this college thing. Maybe you should go to Las Vegas and be a professional gambler. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I always told her, please never give my kids any career advice.
A friend of the family who owned a 150 Cessna introduced and taught Gil to fly.
I think the only thing cooler than cars are airplanes.
Gil attended Brevard College for 2 years. There he was captain of the basketball team before moving on to North Carolina State to major in mechanical engineering. Gil graduated in 1984 and went to work for Boeing in Seattle, Washington.
That was a really transformational time for me because really it's the first time I'd ever left the South.
At Boeing, he worked on the introduction of the 757 and 767.
Great company, great lifestyle, great pay, everything's wonderful there. But for me, I was just wired different. You know, it didn't move at a pace that I really enjoyed. One of the other nice things about Seattle was I met my wife to be there.
Gil married Kim Matthews on August 23, 1986. Together, they moved to San Diego, where Gil became project engineer at the aerospace company Sunstrand.
As an engineer, I literally got to see kind of the whole life cycle, but you know, you really weren't plugged into the operational side of things. As I do with cars, I love to get my hands dirty, and I kind of miss that.
That operational side took Gil and Kim to San Francisco and United Airlines.
Nothing to me is more exciting than an engine shop and building engines.
In 1994, Kim gave birth to their first son, Chris. But lifestyle and cost of living concerns brought the West family back to the South, to Atlanta, Georgia, and a job at Northwest Airlines.
As part of the journey in Atlanta, had the extreme good fortune of a leader that came in to run our technical operations, became Senior Vice President of Technical Operations by the name of Richard Anderson.
That good fortune would revisit the Gil West family a dozen years later. Richard Anderson had become CEO of Delta Airlines and made a call to Gil asking him to join the Delta family. Delta at the time was still emerging from bankruptcy, but the challenge was exciting for Gil West, especially joining friends Richard Anderson and COO Steve Gorman.
Delta was a bit of a turnaround. Our performance financially, we struggled to the point that there was bankruptcy. Operationally, we were kind of last in all the statistics. Richard really led us on that journey. He's hardcore operator at the end of the day, and everybody around him, you know, just picked up that same level of DNA. We went about an operational turnaround and put all the pieces in place that you would expect, you know, the right goals and metrics to focus the team and the organization on what's important.
With Delta on the mend, Steve Gorman retired in 2010, and Gil West became the Chief Operating Officer. Being COO meant putting to use everything Gil had learned and experienced in his life to safely transport over 200 million passengers a year to their destinations. All this while charismatically and profitably leading over 70,000 Delta employees and 22,000 subsidiary employees and managing everything to do with the operation and maintenance of over 1,300 aircraft at 366 airports in 66 countries.
The way we approach decisions, it was really through the lens of our people. The special part of Delta is really the people. It's just an unbelievable culture, the family environment, the willingness to everybody work together to win. And as we improved our operational performance to the best in the world, literally, unit premiums we were able to charge went to the highest in the world. And then that fed a business model that was the most profitable airline in the world, which also translated into profit sharing, and we would share over $1 billion a year profit sharing back with the employees. I was fortunate that I worked for two great leaders there. Richard, I've talked about, but Ed Bastian as well, just a great, incredible leader, both of which really put the people first, the Delta family first.
And were there sleepless nights? They came with the job.
WHO, we have made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
I was at Delta when COVID hit. It was a situation nobody had ever seen or managed through. We leveraged our safety management system, same thing we used to make sure that the airline was safe from a flight safety standpoint, ground safety standpoint, and applied it to COVID. We understood risk and severity, the mitigations that we took, things like, separation of seats in the cabin, the environmental systems and the aircraft turns, the HEPA filters, along with the disinfectants that we used. All that really was systematically approached through the lens of safety management system that the FAA established. We used that to put together protocols to manage COVID that ultimately the other carriers in the industry adopted. The two last administrators of the FAA, Steve Dixon and Michael Warda, that led the march really for safety management systems that institutionalized the best practices, were implemented, and just really was the foundation for that improvement.
Gil's customer service work at his dad's auto parts store, his hands-on experience with engines of all kinds, the teamwork he learned from sports, his formal education in engineering, business, and finance, his desire to continuously learn, his sense of warm heart and cool head from his poker days, his competitive desire to win in a race, and his love of family all make Gil West who he is and what he brought to Delta Airlines to the Delta family. Gil West retired from Delta after 12 years of service in 2020. His latest challenge is being COO of General Motors' autonomous vehicle initiative Cruise, the future of driverless automobiles. Gil is as busy as ever, but he does take the time for family, his many good friends, hunting, fishing, playing golf, helping Kim and the boys with their microbrewery business Riptide, of course his cars, everything Porsche and car racing, getting his hands dirty in an engine, a good hand and a good cigar.
I've just been blessed with this career. You could never scoped it out or thought about it consciously. It's just happened. But the ability to learn, contribute, be a part of a team, but make the friendships, have the mentors, I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's just part of who I am. In transportation, it has been quite a ride. Yep.
The Georgia Aviation Hall of Fame proudly inducts Gil West this April 29th, 2023.